Hey class, how are y'all? Today I'm going to be going over, what I learned and kind of the story that I'm going to take and lead the way after going through this leadership and supervision class. So these are some of my key takeaways. My name's Sam Phillips, and I hope you guys enjoy. So when I started this course, I thought leadership was mainly about authority, being the one who makes decisions and ensures compliances. But through the management course, I learned that true leadership isn't about control, it's about influence, empathy, and growth. Working in the safety field at Ray Corporations, I see leadership every day in action, uh, from supervisors like modeling safety behavior to employees holding their accountability. So this course helped me connect what I do in safety to kind of the broader principles of having effective leadership. It's helped me try to take what I learned in college and in class and put it into my everyday life. So kind of the journey of the leadership. Obviously, as what I just said, it's not really just a title, but it's a process built on trust, communication, and growth. And leadership ultimately begins with awareness of yourself and understanding of others. So the first concept that truly stood out to me with leadership, would be leadership styles. So that's gonna be my key concept number one. Before I viewed leadership as one size fits all. Now I realize leadership is situational. Some days my role demands transactional leadership, setting clear safety expectations and ensuring compliance. Other days I need to be transformational, inspiring others to care about safety not because they have to, but because they want to. When someone chooses to follow a procedure because they believe in its purpose and what it means, it's not just because it's written in the manual. That's a real leadership action, making it believable. And safety is a very important thing. People want to come to work, want to leave work the same way they showed up, and making them believe in the purpose and not just because it's written in our manual or the policy says so. Looking back at my early years at Ray, I used more transactional approach, focusing on enforcing the rules and just like tracking the compliance and not really making it my own or um, making there be a purpose there of the compliance, focusing on enforcing those compliances while that achieved results, and it didn't always build motivation. Maybe it checked the boxes, maybe it looked good on paper, but there was no motivation to want to do it, to see the purpose behind it, to build that safety culture that I've always wanted. Since taking this course, I began applying transformational and servant leadership principles, asking questions, listening to concerns, and empowering others to be a part of the solution. The change has been pretty noticeable. It's still hard. We still have our challenges every day. Employees, I've always wanted just employees to feel heard. Be able to come talk to me, be able to have me self-reflect and learn. And our safety conversations are more open and more productive whenever they're able to just come talk to me and just not think I'm a guy that's going to come around and just check boxes. So currently, I'm focusing on improving my emotional intelligence, being more aware of how my tone, how my words and reactions impact others. Sometimes things are frustrating, sometimes I'm going through things, but I need to work on being more aware of my tone and how I come across people. When people feel respected and understood, they are more likely to take safety seriously and speak up when something's wrong. Big thing for where I work is stop work authority. If they respect me and they feel comfortable coming to me or enforcing those safety policies, they'll be able to stop the work. They'll take it seriously. They'll be able to speak up whenever something they see might be unfitting or might be wrong. That trust builds a foundation for a stronger, safer workplace. Looking forward, um, I plan to grow as a servant leader. Even outside of work, inside of work, someone who leads by example, serves the team, and prioritizes people first. My next steps that I'm wanting to take, including developing coaching skills, offering constructive feedback, I'm trying to think, and mentoring newer people as of like why behind the mission of building our safety culture. I want to help others see safety not as a checklist, but obviously as a shared value that protects all of us. We want to show up, we want more money in our pocket, and we want to go home to our family. It's a job. It's not life or death. We want to keep those safety values first, and make sure that we go home the same way that we showed up. So another powerful lesson was learning to manage my ups and downs. This is a big concept for me, and safety communication flows both directions, upward to management and downward to teams on the floor. I have the management team that I have to relay information about what's our workers' comp look like, how our policies are working, what I want to implement, how I'm going to implement, but then also having the communication skills to talk to the people, not necessarily downward, but on the production floor that have a little bit of a different view of how the safety is actually going to work, the practicality of how we are going to implement that. We can write it on paper and it looks really good, but sometimes it doesn't fall in line with how it'll work in the actual work being done. Managing up means clearly communicating hazards, concerns, and successes to leadership, so that they can make informed decisions. Managing down means coaching those team members to, respectfully recognize good practices and addressing risk before they turn into incidents. That's a big thing with my safety culture that I'm trying to build here at Ray Corporations, is that I want it to be, risk management, risk mitigating, and not just reactive. I don't like dealing with reactive things, because that means something has went wrong and now I have to see how to fix it. I want to be able to get out in front of it and step in front of it and be able to show that I'm willing to mitigate the risk and not just be like, oh, he got hurt, now I have to go deal with it. This is a two-way influence, and it helped me become a more trusted voice in my department. So that my second key concept that I really kind of found through this class is being able to manage the ups and downs and the different sides of, corporations. So this course also, my key concept 3 would be motivation and goal setting. So this course also reinforced the importance of motivation and goal setting for me. Safety can sometimes feel like an uphill battle. It always feels like an uphill battle. People may see it as extra work. I don't see it as extra work. I just see it as something that if you think of it first, it won't be extra work, because once you think of safety first and then you do the procedure, that's already out of the way. It shouldn't be extra work and it's going to take longer. It should be, I want to be safe and go home to my family. Using SMART goals and connecting SMART goals is something we talked about in class, and connecting safety to personal values makes a difference. When you make that personal and you make something connect as like, I want to go home to my family and I want to be able to provide my family, but if I'm not being safe, then it's, putting me at risk to lose a finger, to hurt my leg, to hurt my arm, to ultimately, have some life-changing alterations that can make me not provide for my family anymore. So whenever you make it personal, it sets clear, attainable goals that we want to reach, and it's connecting safety to our values that we want to have as a human. Kind of going into the goal side of it, when I set clear and attainable goals, like reducing my near misses, which that would be the risk mitigation, being able to report those near misses and being able to kind of see the repetitive injuries or illnesses or near misses or hazards lets me get out in front of it instead of being reactive. By a certain percentage or improving participation in safety meetings, people stay engaged. It's not just statistics. It's about shared ownership of our safety culture. We have meetings and stuff like that, and we try to push information out every day so it stays fresh on your mind, so it's not just a one time a month thing. Hey, be safe. We want it to be the first thing on your mind when you step in, is to build that safety culture to be safe. Application of the past. I want to be able to, learn my lessons and grow from them. In my previous job, I tried to, put all those transactional approach and focusing on tasks. I used to do that. I used to be really bad about, just looking at the task, looking at the paper trail, and not really like looking at the vision and encouraging of how I see, I see that you got X, Y, and Z done, but you didn't get blah, blah, blah done. Why didn't you do that? I try to ask more questions now. I try to be more open. I'm going to try to, as this example I put in here, I'm going to try to praise, effort rather than just results increasing. that increases your morale and your collaboration. If I'm just the guy that's like X, Y, and Z, if it's not done, I don't care, blah, 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 blah. It makes people not want to really work around me. It makes me not collab. It makes me not have, it doesn't help with morale of the employees. So in the end here, the things I kind of want to close with is application to the present, like how I'm going to, put these things in my job today. Current leaders, like try to put current leadership practices in. This course showed me that leadership and safety can go hand in hand. Great leaders create the environment where people feel safe, not physically, but emotionally also. And great safety professionals lead by inspiring change and not just enforcing rules. I lead small teams, try to actively listen and have empathy. Emotional intelligence strengthens communication and trust in every role, not just management. Having emotional intelligence is a very, very, very key point to being a great leader. Being able to control those emotions and the ups and downs, as we talked about, is something I can work on every day, and I'm going to try to really apply to some of the leadership practices currently. So my biggest takeaway is leadership influence, and influence starts with trust. That's the foundation I'll continue to try to build in my job right now at Ray Corporations. This course integrated leadership theory, power dynamics, and communication and motivation. Key takeaway: be true leadership combines purpose, people skills, and continuous learning. This is my reference page. Thank you guys for listening, and I really appreciate this course. I've learned a lot. Thank you.